Good morning, traders. So how do we trade the DAX today? So before we start looking at the lower time frames, let's just have a look at how the month closed off. So you can see we pretty much closed off with a second rejection bar on the monthly. So we had this monthly rejection bar and then now the second month of rejection. So this is starting to look rather bearish on the higher time frames, and you can see we've got a 5 and 20 almost crossing over. Okay, so at the open, I would assume that this moving average would definitely cross over at today's open. So that's pretty much a worrying sign, and we do have what people are seeing as these head and shoulders here. But I want to just show you another way of looking at this at the moment, and this is pretty much a consolidation pattern, which is called a diamond pattern, for those of you that are familiar with it. And typically when it does break, it does get quite violent and move in the direction of the break. So what we're waiting for is a break of this either way. Okay. So a break to the downside would validate your head and shoulders. Break to the upside would validate a different picture, which is pretty much that consolidation triangle or wedge. Okay, and now we've gone 1, 2, 3. So we've got 3 touches, basically a triangle. So we need to see what's going to transpire now. Okay, so if we look at how the weekly closed off, again, a little bit of rejection off a level, and the level that we rejected was pretty much around there. You can see all the interaction on the left here with it. So we did have a bit of rejection, nothing to write home about, but buyers did step in. Yeah, okay. Now again, that could have just been some profit taking towards the end of the week from the short. Okay, let's start moving to time frames we're interested in. Okay, so the daily is still not giving us a very clear picture of what is going on. You can see we've got tails to the downside, tails to the upside. This thing is still pretty much confused. Okay, and remember what I said on last week Thursdays. Well, not even last week's Thursday. So pretty much that was the first range that we're looking at, this range bar here, and then we formed another range bar. So what I typically do is I'll just adjust the range to that, and now what I'm looking for is a break above there or a break below there. Okay, and that would indicate whether we're going long or short and what the long term is. Now the fact that we broke through the bottom of this range and buyers stepped in straight away, we didn't even close this daily gap. We basically just tagged the bottom of this opening, left the gap open, and then turned around. Okay, and then we gapped up, tried to run away, and then came back. So there's a lot going on at the moment, and I think this is the area that we need to be very diligent about. So any form of break above here and decent price action pointing to an upside move could indicate a longer upside move, and also converse is true if we start moving to the downside. Okay, so basically could be a strong move down, consolidate like this in this range, and then come down to the bottom. Okie dokie. So let's look at the 4 hour. So 4 hour, we've had a crossover of the 20 and the 5, okay, which would indicate the start of a bullish move. And you can see pretty much there at the crossover, we had the start of a bearish move, and it was quite well extended. And we're looking at the similar kind of situation now, but in reverse. So the key thing here is this 4 hour level. You see it's a fractal level, which did not break. Okay, so we have not broken a 4 hour fractal to the upside yet. And we're looking for a break of that to confirm an upward move. So for now, this is still pretty much in a sideways consolidation pattern. Okay, so let's start looking at what potentially could happen today. And you can see on the hour here how all over the place it is. And this is very typical of a consolidation pattern. It's also very typical of a bottoming pattern. And the only concern I have is that we created a lower low, and there is no divergence here on this lower low. So it could very well indicate a continuation. You can see this is a double top, and if you look at the MACD made a new high. So that normally is a continuation divergence to the downside. So we could very well see a retest of this level. If we just have a look at the futures market at the moment, DAX futures is down quite heavily at the moment, almost 0.5%, so it's sitting at 12,200. Okay, so we are pretty much down where this gap is, roughly. What are we, 12,214. So we're quite far below. We're sitting around there at the moment. Okay, so yeah, I think a difficult one to call at the moment. I would definitely take a stab at a long at the bottom here. So it depends on what happens at the open. But at this stage, for some reason, the US markets, the futures market's getting hammered. And I see the Nikkei's down 1.2% at the moment. So difficult to call whether we're going up or down at the moment. For me, I'm just going to assume we're in the middle of the range. So either way is going to be a scalp for me. Now you can see on the 12 minutes, we pretty much closed below the moving averages and we started moving to the downside. So we are currently around 65 points away from our close. So I close on Friday anyway. So I think we need to do two things here. So the first thing is, let's just get to an hour so we can do this properly. We are looking for a higher low to confirm a move to the upside. Okay, so you can see here there's also a potential head and shoulders. So there's a shoulder, there's a head, and this could be another shoulder forming. And what we're looking for is the Fibonacci on this. And let's just put that line in. So that, and then you can see that there is a breakout gap there. So this area here, if we can get some bullish action in this area, that to me would confirm a move to the upside and a potential break of this level. Okay, so if we fail to get support here and we break to the downside, then this would be the next attempt to get a long in, but a very tight stop, because if this level goes, then we are definitely continuing to the downside. Okay, and then I think the last thing we want to do is, this level would be broken by now, so that was the original level there, which is broken to the downside now. Okay, so that doesn't really count. Okay guys, so I mean that's what I'm looking for today. We'll see how the open goes. Definitely, if we're going to gap down at the open, I'm not really interested in chasing the downward move. I'll wait for price to find its support. Hopefully find support somewhere in this area. Okay, we're pretty much on the 61.8 at the moment. So if we can find some support in this area, I'll definitely look for a long. Otherwise, I'll wait to see what happens on the downside here. Okay, maybe a little scalp if price action is indicating that at the open, but it's really going to be based on my risk to reward. So if we're gapping down to this level and we've got a potential 100-point move down, but my stop is 75 points, so it's a one-to-one trade, so it may be worth it. Anyway guys, I hope that helps. Keep those stops tight and enjoy the day. I'll catch up with you later. Cheers man.